So today I'm going to share with you a sutta taught by the Buddha, what is welcome, okay, called the Ittha Sutta. Now this Ittha Sutta actually was given to Anathapindika, okay, the chief benefactor of the Buddha, okay? And it's specifically given to lay people. So I think it's very relevant for us, okay, to know this sutta. Okay, let me start off the what is mentioned in the sutta is 5 things that are welcome, agreeable, and pleasant, and hard to obtain in the world. So as human beings, we need to be able to enjoy long life, okay, beauty, happiness, status, and after we pass away, okay, we want to be reborn in a happy state or in heaven. Many people live this life, they have a religion, okay, because they think of their afterbirth, after death, which is whether they are reborn in a good state or awful states. So it's very important for us to know, okay, how to be reborn in a heavenly state. So in this sutta, the first 4, long life, beauty, happiness, and status. I think you are very familiar with one of the blessings, okay, that is always chanted by the monk after you do a certain meritorious act. For example, giving food to the monks, okay. And the monk after that will chant the blessing Abhivadana Silesa Nicha Mudam Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuwano Sukang Balang. So the last verse, last line, Ayuwano Sukang Balang, means long life. Okay. Vano is beauty, Sukang is happiness, and Balang is actually translated, sometimes it's translated as strength, or we can say it's status. Okay, let us go into detail. What are these 4 things that the Buddha taught? Now, even though these things are welcome, okay, by every human being, okay, it is hard to obtain, okay, because you can't obtain these 5 things through prayers alone, or we. If they were, then who would like them? That means everybody who goes to the Buddha or any god, and pray for these 5 things. If they can get, then everybody will get it. Okay? So in Buddhism, we have to practice, okay, and practice the way that leads to them. So we have to create causes and conditions that leads to long life, beauty, happiness, status, and even rebirth in heavenly realm. And if you got all these, it brings welfare in this life and also in the next life. That means if you got long life, it's good for your welfare. If you got beauty, it's good for your welfare. If you got happiness, okay, it's good for your welfare. If you got status, okay, it's good for your welfare in this life. So we have to practice, okay, in order to get them. And how do we practice is to create condition, okay, by doing merits and create the causes and condition for it to happen. For example, long life, okay, you need to keep the precepts well, so that especially the first precept of non-killing, so that in return we also have long life. Okay? Those people who have short life are usually people who harm other beings, okay, and kill other beings. Beauty, if you want to have beauty, okay, not only physically, but also inner beauty, beauty in your character, you need a lot of metta. You need to practice a lot of metta. If you want happiness, okay, you need to practice letting go. So you may think that why letting go, leads to happiness. Okay, a lot of people think that accumulating a lot leads to happiness. Okay? For example, you have a lot of assets like house, cars, okay, then money, okay, it leads to happiness. Yes, it leads to certain happiness, okay, but there are also higher happiness that you can achieve through letting go. Then as in terms of status, you want status, you got to be truthful and you got to have wisdom. And heavenly birth, for heavenly birth, you need 5 courses. These 5 courses are faith, learning, generosity, morality, and also wisdom. Okay. So before I go into the details, okay, let's start with the long life. Okay. Now most people want to have long life because people don't want to die young, okay, especially at a prime age. Okay. So let me relate you one story about how people live, whether it's worth living a long life. So once there was these beings, these beings who are brought before the Lord of Death. Now, just before they are reborn, they are brought before the Lord of Death, and the first being came, and he was a good person, but he likes to kill, okay, go hunting, fishing, okay. And because of that, the Lord of Death said, okay, you'll be reborn as human, okay, based on certain good things that you have done, but because you break the first precept very often, you'll be reborn as a human, but only for 35 years. Okay. So he was very sad, but he got no choice, so he stepped aside. Then the second being came before the Lord of Death, and this second being, he's not a good person. He likes to torture people. He likes to work people very hard and don't pay people well. So because of that, this being will be born as a cow. A cow for 60 years. Okay. So this being was very sad, but then he got no choice. He accepted his fate and he stepped aside. So the first being, after hearing that, pleaded to the Lord of Death. Okay, since you have taken no, actually the second being actually pleaded for a shorter life as a cow. So he was given half his life. Okay, so instead of being born as a cow for 60 years, he is born as a cow for 30 years. So the first being hearing that asked the Lord of Death, okay, to give him the 30 years. Okay. So Lord of Death was very kind, you know. He gave the extra 30 years to the first being. So next came the third being. The third being also not a very good being. Because of that, you will be born. The Lord of Death say you'll be born as a dog for 20 years. So to be born as a dog is not very good unless you're a pet dog. If you are an ordinary dog, you suffer. Okay, you'll be given bones to eat only. Yeah. So he pleaded again. The third being pleaded and asked for his lifespan to be reduced by half. So the Lord of Death agreed and say, okay, you'll be born as a dog for 10 years. So the next being, the first being, after hearing this, asked the Lord of Death for the additional 10 years that he took away from the dog. So the Lord of Death agreed. And the last being was a very terrible guy, and because of that, he'll be born in for a million years. So the Lord of Death, said, tell this being you'll be born as in a hell. Right? So this being say, oh, can you reduce my lifespan to half, okay, to 500 years? And Lord of Death agreed. So the first being, after hearing this, asked for additional years for his life. Okay. But as human beings, you can't live long. You've got a certain lifespan. So he was given another probably 10 years to live. So the first being was born as a human, and he lived as a human with a good education in a good family, and he got good career, and also he set up a family and have a few children. Okay, so for the first 35 years, his life was very good. Okay, and after that, he got to work like a cow for the next 30 years until he retired at 65. And after that, the children have grown up and they set up their own family, but they don't come back and see him. Okay? And he and his wife got a big bungalow to stay, but only two of them in the house. So they took care of their big bungalow like a dog. Okay? And after that, they fell sick, and the children don't come back and see them. They suffered, okay? And for the rest of the last 10 years of their life, okay, they passed away. They suffered towards the end of their life. So this sounds very familiar, okay? A lot of people know we have good life when we're young, but not noticing that actually we are actually working for our children like a cow. And probably if your children are good, yes, they will have gratitude, they come back, they stay with you, they take care of you. But if your children are not obedient, okay, or they don't have gratitude, you know, they will leave the old people, probably put them in the old folks home, okay, or don't even take care of them. Okay. So long life doesn't mean that it's good. Okay. Life, if you have long life, you must also be healthy. But you have long life actually is good in a way that you can take care of your children. Okay. You can even take care of your grandchildren. You can live up to 80, 90 years. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of grandchildren. Okay? So there was once, you know, a family, okay? They invited, and after the offering food to the monks, you know, the monk delivered a talk, okay? And he started off the talk with, grandfather died first, father died later, and the son died later. Okay. So he started the talk like that. So the family thought that it's very inauspicious, you know, instead of giving a talk that give them blessings, you know, he talked about death. Okay. So if you reflect on it, okay, it's good that grandfather died first, okay, and the father died later and the son died later, okay. Because if you go the other way, if the son died first, who's going to take care of the father and the grandfather, okay? So it's important for people to have long life, okay, so that you can take care of your next generation, okay, your children and also even your grandchildren. Right? But long life must have, you know, we must have blessings, okay, of good health. On top of that, you know, every year as we grow older, you know, we celebrate our birthday, you know, we have to reflect, okay? Reflect first, gratitude towards our parents, because our parents, you know, are the people who bring us up, okay? And every time we have a birthday, we also must reflect on how we lead our life, okay? We don't want to lead our life like a cow and a dog, you know, but with meaning, okay? We must add meaning to it. And how do we add meaning to it? Is to check whether we are practicing the virtues, okay? practice developing ourselves in terms of generosity, in terms of morality, and in terms of mental training. Okay? Dana, Sila, Bhavana. So if we have long life, we have to spend our life meaningfully, okay, by practicing Sila and Bhavana. Okay, the next is that is welcome is beauty. Okay, now beauty is actually not only in terms of physical beauty. Okay, of course, if you are physically beautiful and handsome, you know, there's a lot of advantage. Okay, so you can get fame from that. Yeah, but beauty also means beauty in speech, right? Okay. And also in deeds. Okay. So beauty in word, thoughts, and deeds. Okay. And to practice beauty in thoughts is to have thoughts of loving kindness, thoughts of compassion, and thoughts of non-cruelty. Okay. So if we have these thoughts with us, then our actions will follow. Our deeds will follow with generosity. Okay, if we have metta, we have compassion, we will keep the precepts well. Okay, and you keep the precepts well, you have virtue, and there's beauty in virtue actually. Okay, people will respect you. Okay, if you have virtue, because you are trustworthy. Okay. And it leads, of course, to acts of generosity because you have metta, you have karuna. Okay. And you even have gratitude towards others. So beauty is not only physical, okay? If we can develop our mind, okay, with compassion and loving kindness, then our character, okay, will show, okay, in a beautiful way to other people. Okay. The next thing that is welcome is happiness. Okay, happiness can be mundane happiness or supramundane happiness. When we talk about mundane happiness, is having assets, okay, having things that we enjoy, okay, that can gratify our senses, okay, our senses of seeing, hearing, you know, tasting. So people go a long way, you know. Seeing is, you know, people like traveling, you know, when they go traveling, they're very happy, okay. Tasting, people like good food. Mm-hmm. So some people derive a lot of happiness from eating. Okay, they are willing to travel even to far away places to to gratify their senses. So even hearing, some people like good, nice music. Okay, they pay a lot of money to listen to good music, okay, in concerts and so on. Okay. So our senses actually give us happiness. Okay. But all these are mundane happiness. Okay. They are transient. Once it is there, you enjoy it. But once it disappears, okay, it's gone. Now, if you talk about spiritual happiness or supramundane happiness, then we talk about letting go or non-attachment. Okay, because sometimes attachment gives us a lot of suffering instead of happiness. Okay, because we are attached to our things. Okay, for example, if you have a brand new car, okay, and somebody scratched your car, okay, there is a lot of suffering. But if your neighbor have a brand new car and somebody scratched his car, okay, I don't think you feel sad, okay, or hurt by the scratch in your neighbor's car. Okay, the most you say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." Okay, so it is attachment. Okay, that leads us to suffering. Okay? But if we let go, then there is happiness. Okay, so there's this saying by Ajahn Chah. Okay, very beautiful saying that if you want a little happiness, you let go a little. Okay. If you want more happiness, you let go more. You want complete happiness, okay, you let go of completely. So this analogy of happiness, okay, but again, as lay people, okay, you can't let go of everything, okay. So you still have we still have our desire, we still have our craving, okay. So the Buddha gave a sermon which advised his followers to gain happiness through having a proper career, okay. That means you earn your money, okay, in a righteous way, okay. And after you earn your money, you spend it in a righteous way. That is, you spend it for yourself, okay, for your own welfare. Also, you spend it for your parents, relatives, okay, to take care of them. Okay. You also need to save the money that you have earned for rainy days. Okay. So when you earn money, you don't spend everything, but you save some for rainy days. You also invest your money. Okay. And at the same time, you also must be able to know how to do good. That is, be generous, okay, using your money to help other people. And of course, the most important is to lead a blameless life. Okay? A life that at the end of the day, people do not blame you for things, okay, that you have done. So happiness is about, not only letting go, but also about, how to use, okay, money in a wise way. Then we have status, okay, status or strength. Now, people seek status, okay. For example, people who are rich, have status, okay. People who have power, okay, have status. Okay? So if you're a businessman, if you're of a corporate, company, then you have status. People listen to you, okay. People respect you. So the same goes, even in the family, okay. If your family is a noble family, okay, well-to-do family, then people will also respect you and listen to you. Okay? So if you don't believe, rich people, when they say something, people will listen because they have a lot of followers. People like to follow people who are rich, okay, because they also benefit, from them. Yeah. So status comes in the form of position, okay, in the form of respect, or sometimes in the form of fear. Some because of fear, because you respect or you listen to your boss, sometimes because of fear, fear of losing the job. Okay? So if you're in a high position, you have status, okay, you have strength. Okay? Similarly, if you're a good spiritual leader, okay, you also have status, okay. You have a lot of followers, you have a lot of support, okay. When you want to do things, a lot of people support you in terms of donation, in terms of providing any of their services and so on. Okay? So status is important. Okay? If you have status, then you can do a lot of things. Okay? Okay, the fifth one is a heavenly birth, and heavenly birth has 5 causes. Okay? I'm sure everybody, especially when they are old, they're very worried where they are born, whether they are born in a woeful state or not. Okay? And what are the things they can do actually to be born in a good state? Of course, different religion, they emphasize things differently. Okay, if you believe for certain religions, if you believe in God, then you go to heaven. Okay, but again, people misinterpret it, and they do bad things, and they think that by believing in God, they'll go to heaven. Okay, but even if you want to go to heaven, okay, there is a certain condition. Okay, that means you must do good things. Okay? So whether you are a Buddhist or non-Buddhist, okay, going to heaven has its condition. Now, what are these conditions? The conditions that lead you to heaven is to have faith, to have virtue, to have learning, to have charity or generosity, and to have wisdom. So let us look at the first one, okay, the faith. Okay? Now, for Buddhists, we have faith in the Triple Gem. Okay? The Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. There's our teacher, the teaching, and the of the noble ones, the Sangha. Now we have faith in the Triple Gem, and we take refuge in the Triple Gem. That means we take the Buddha as our teacher, the Dhamma as our guide, okay, and the Sangha, okay, as our guide as well to lead us towards the liberation. Right. So how do we develop this faith? So there are 4 types of faith that we can develop. First is the inspired faith. Okay. This is, for example, when somebody tell you, "Oh, it's good to follow the Buddha." Okay, to have faith in the Buddha. So usually, people who are not secure, sometimes they want to have refuge in. Okay. So when you ask them to go to the temple, yes, they'll follow you. They say that, "Oh, praying to the Buddha or paying respect to the Buddha is good." Okay. So you start off with an inspired faith. Okay. When somebody tell you, "Oh, the Buddha is an enlightened being," you get inspired. Okay. You begin to follow your friend to the temple. Okay. So after you know where the temple is, and after seeing the Buddha image, you get inspired. You develop eager faith. Eager faith is something like you know the Buddha. Okay. But to know the Buddha, you have to know the teaching. So it's good to listen to the Dhamma like what you're now. Okay. Every Sunday, you log into the Zoom or go to the temple and listen to the Dhamma. So when you listen to Dhamma, you begin to understand who the Buddha is, okay, what he teaches, okay, and how when people practice becomes enlightened as well. Okay? So this eager faith is knowing the qualities of the Buddha, okay, the qualities of his teachings and the qualities of the Sangha. So after that, you practice the Dhamma. You begin to practice generosity by giving, okay, donating to those who are needy. Okay, you begin to practice sila, the 5 precepts, because after knowing the Buddha, the Dhamma, you know what are the teachings. There is the 5 precepts. You begin to practice meditation. Okay, training the mind. Okay, to understand the mind. Then you develop confidence in the Dhamma. Okay, that is what we call confident faith. Yeah. So you start off with by just knowing the teacher, okay, the Buddha. Then after that, you know his qualities, and now you emulate the Buddha, okay, which gives you the confidence, because what the Buddha practiced, you also follow what the Buddha practiced. You want to be like the teacher, okay? So it gives you the confidence. Okay? And the 4th one, irreversible faith, is actually a combination of the 3. Okay? Once you have developed inspired faith, eager faith, and confident faith, your faith becomes irreversible. Okay? When people tell you about other faith, other religion, okay, you don't have to worry. Okay, the faith in the Triple Gem is good enough for you. Okay, you are stable enough. Okay, to know what is right and what is wrong, and you practice according to the Dhamma. So this is how we develop faith. Okay, and faith is very powerful. Okay, it's very powerful because if you have faith in a Triple Gem, it reduces your fear. right? A lot of people, when they are old and they want to die, before they die, they have this fear. Fear of where am I going? Because I got no refuge. Okay? Throughout my life, I just live and I work hard, okay? But there's no refuge. Right? At the end of the day, if you depend on other people, okay, that is also not secure. Okay, you depend on yourself. Yes, that is more secure. Okay, so you have to depend on your own faith in a triple gem. Okay? Increase your confidence, increase devotion and commitment to practice. Okay? So every time you chant, okay, you chant the virtues of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, increase your devotion because you begin to understand the Buddha more, the Dhamma more, and the Sangha more. Okay. It helps you to cultivate purity of mind because the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, the qualities can be used as a form of meditation by recollecting these virtues. You cultivate positive thoughts in you. You strengthen your practice. You can also calm your mind if you keep repeating, okay, the Itipiso again and again. Okay. It's an object of contemplation for you to reflect on. It's also an object of meditation. And you can also evoke the blessings and the power of the Triple Gem. Okay. So there is one of the for rebirth in a heavenly realm. The next one is virtue. Okay, virtue are the 5 precepts. Okay, I shall not dwell into this too long because it may take a long time to cover this. But basically, the virtue is the 5 precepts of non-killing, non-stealing, non-sexual misconduct, and non-lying, including non-intoxication. Okay. Now, these virtues are important because when you practice this virtue, it decreases your greed, hatred, and delusion. Okay? Even though it is an act of abstinence, of not doing, okay? But if you perform this killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxicants, it will increase, okay, greed, hatred, and delusion in the mind. Okay? Because killing is usually associated with hatred. Okay? For example, now you have the Ukraine and Russian war. Okay, there is killing in war. Okay, why? It's because of hatred. Okay, it's also because of greed. Okay, there's economic reason why Russia attacked Ukraine. Okay, because of oil. Okay, so there's also greed involved, and of course, delusion is definitely there because going to war is not a good thing, okay? When people are killed in a war, okay, whether they are civilians or soldiers, everyone has a family. Okay? They either have parents, wife, children, okay? And it brings a lot of suffering, okay, when people are killed, okay? Because those who are dependent on them, will also suffer. Stealing also has a lot of greed. Okay, in stealing, people steal because of greed. There's no justification for stealing. Okay, sexual misconduct is also greed in the form of lust. Right? Lying also sometimes due to greed, due to hatred. Sometimes because you don't like certain people, you tell lies about them. Yeah? Intoxicants also due to greed. Okay. Greed of having fun with intoxicants, sometimes more of delusion as well, okay, not knowing the harm that you can cause, okay, when you take intoxicants. Okay. So basically, if you develop the virtue, okay, of the 5 precepts, you reduce a lot of greed, hatred, and delusion. Yeah. And contrary to that, okay, instead of breaking the precept, we develop loving kindness, generosity, contentment, gentle speech, and mindfulness. Okay, these are the opposite Opposite of killing, you develop loving kindness. Opposite of stealing, you develop generosity. Opposite of sexual misconduct, you practice contentment and respect. Speech, you practice gentle speech, and intoxicants, you practice mindfulness. Now, the next cause for birth in heaven is learning, because learning is important. Because in every stage of our life, we learn. Okay, some people think that they only learn when they go to school or when they go to universities. After they finish their university, they throw away the mortar and also give back everything to the lecturers. Okay. So this is a wrong view, actually. Okay, we learn from the day we are born to the day we die, because every day is a learning process. There are always new things to learn. Right? There are always new skills to learn. So, as humans, we are born with a short life. Okay? So it's important for us to learn the right thing. Okay? There is this what we call worldly knowledge and also the spiritual knowledge. Okay? Both are important. Okay? The worldly knowledge is important for us to have a good career, okay, to have a good livelihood, okay, to have a comfortable life from our worldly knowledge. That's why it's important to study, to have good education. Those people who are suffering, okay, and don't have a good career is because when they were young, they don't study, they are lazy, and when they don't have a lot of high education, okay, they are lowly paid, okay, and they also suffer, okay, because of that. So it's important for us to learn, okay. The other aspect of learning is to learn the Dhamma or spiritual learning, okay. So it's important for us to listen to the Dhamma whenever we have the time, okay, or we give priority to learning the Dhamma. Okay? So there are 5 benefits of learning the Dhamma. You hear what you have not heard, you clarify what you have heard, you get rid of your doubts, strengthen your views, and also your mind becomes serene. Okay? And learning the Dhamma is only one thing, okay? Listening is only one thing, but we have to practice it and eventually to realize the Dhamma. Okay? This is the importance of learning. Okay? So the Dhamma is actually based on the Four Noble Truths, and if we understand the Noble Truth well, okay, and we are able to abandon the cause of suffering and realize, okay, the end of suffering, okay, then we become wiser. Okay, this is what we call knowledge. Okay, knowledge. Learning itself also has certain qualities. Okay, so when we learn, especially in education, the first we learn is knowledge. Okay, then we learn skills. Okay, knowledge itself is not important, but we need the skills to use the knowledge. And knowledge must also be accompanied by ethics. Okay, when ethics are not there, knowledge can be very dangerous. Okay, for example, if you can develop the knowledge to develop or to make an atomic bomb or nuclear missile. Okay, there is knowledge involved, but then if there's no virtue, then you can misuse the knowledge. Okay, you can destroy actually civilization. Okay? So ethics is important. Yeah? And besides that, you need to have a culture. Okay? So in education, it's good for us to maintain the culture, okay, that we have. Okay? So usually education has these 4 elements, which is knowledge, skills, ethics, and culture. And learning also can be done via teaching, right? Some people, when they teach, okay, they also learn, okay, because you need to do research when you teach, and you got to know more, okay, than the audience. Okay? So the Buddha actually teaches what he practiced and practice what he teaches. Okay? So when you teach, okay, it helps you in your practice, okay, because if you don't practice, you cannot teach. Okay, so the Buddha is sometimes called the Tathagata because of this virtue of teaching and practicing. The next cause of birth in the heavenly realm is generosity. Okay, to practice generosity, you it's like giving of the four requisites. Okay, giving to the poor and underprivileged, giving of your services, like volunteering your services, giving of advice, counseling, giving of thoughts of goodwill, metta, and even giving a smile. Okay, it's a form of generosity. Okay? So you can smile, okay, and you make people happy. It's also giving. Okay? So there are many forms of giving. Okay? But generally, people gives. There are three things that you need to bear in mind when you give: is the giver, object, and the recipient. The giver must know his intention. Okay? Some people give because they want something in return. That is not true giving. Okay, you must give out of purity. You give because you want to reduce your selfishness, okay, and also to reduce your greed. Okay? So if you give in a proper way with good intention, then the merits is tremendous. The gift must be appropriate. Is you don't give things that are not useful to people. Okay, you must give things that are needed. Okay, for example, when a person is hungry, okay, you give food that is the most appropriate. Okay, so even when we offer gifts to the monk, okay, we only give things that are appropriate. Okay, we give the four requisites of food, clothing, shelter, and medicine. The recipient must be worthy. You don't give to a rich person. Yeah, you're just throwing salt into the. It's like throwing salt into the sea. Okay? The sea is already salty, and you throw salt inside. Okay, so you don't give to a rich person. Okay, but it doesn't mean that a rich person is not worthy. But a rich person may not be worthy of material gift, but sometimes he's worthy of counseling advice. Okay, a rich person is worthy of the Dhamma. Okay, if he's prepared to listen. Okay, so the recipient worthy means the worthiness is in the virtue. Okay, you give a person who is worthy, that means is deserving of the gift. Yeah. And the more you give, the more you get. This seems like a fallacy. Sorry, it's not gift, it's give. The more you give, the more you get. It seems like a fallacy because if you've got $100, you give away $50, you only have $50 left. Yeah. So how can you say you have more? If you look at our life, okay, we come with nothing, okay, not even a pair of clothes. And as we grow up, as we grow older, we accumulate a lot of assets, our house, our car, okay, our property, our family, all this. Okay? But when you pass away, okay, your final house, no matter how big your house, your final house is only 2 feet by 2 feet by 6 feet. Okay? Everyone ends up with the same house. Okay? So we are alive, okay, we give away things, right? So our life is like a burning house, right? What you give goes outside the house, okay? And stays outside. But when one passes away, okay, it's like your body, okay, it's like a house being burned down. The house will eventually to ash. Okay. So what is outside the house is salvage, not what is in the house. Okay. So if you contemplate on it, it means that whatever that remains with you after you die, you're not going to take it with you. Okay. So what you're going to take with you are your merits. Okay. The merits that you've done in this present life, which will give rise to the results. Okay. The results of goodness, okay, of a better life in the next life. Okay. So the more you give, the more you get. And finally, the last condition for you to be born in the heaven realm, panya or wisdom, okay? Or sometimes we call discernment. In Buddhism, we talk about three types of wisdom. Okay, the first is the wisdom derived from your hearing, that is from listening or reading. The second one is wisdom derived from thinking or reasoning. Okay. So after listening to a Dhamma talk, okay, you have to reflect on it. You have to think about it. You have to reason about it. Okay. And if it's reasonable and if it's sensible, okay, then you accept it. You have to investigate. You don't have blind faith when you listen to something, okay, but you have to test it. The third form of wisdom is wisdom derived from meditation or in training of the mind. Okay. So when you train the mind, you develop insight or what we call discernment, okay, on how to see things as they really are. So discernment has certain qualities, okay. For example, you can discern the body and the mind. Okay. As humans, we are made up of the body and the mind. Okay. The body and the mind are actually two separate entities. You can, if you practice meditation, you find that your mind, okay, and your body are two separate entities. So the body grows old, but not the mind. Okay. Every year you find that, as you grow older, your body becomes weaker. Your body begin to have less, your immunity is less, okay? Your body resistance, your energy that you have in the body is even less. Yeah. So the body grows old and eventually it will pass away. Yeah. So if you are aware of your mind and the body as they are, okay, you see them as only elements. We are all made up of the four elements, okay, of earth, water, fire, and wind. Okay. And you can also see the three characteristics. They are always changing. Okay, is suffering, is unsatisfactory, and there's no entity. Okay? There's no permanent entity. So it's good for us to contemplate and discern that this body is aging and subject to sickness and subject to death. So when we practice discernment, we also practice clarity of the mind. Okay, clarity of the mind means the mind becomes composed and stable. Right? So when the mind becomes stable, it has clarity. When the mind is confused, it doesn't have clarity. Okay? So when you meditate, when you watch the breath, okay, your mind becomes calm. Okay, you become composed, become free from the five hindrances of sensual pleasure, ill will, restlessness, sloth and torpor, and doubts. So when you have this clarity of mind, you begin to see the defilements. Okay, when defilement arises, you know there is defilement. Okay, when the mind greed, you know the mind has greed. When the mind has hatred, you know the mind has hatred. When the mind has delusion, you know the mind has delusion. Okay. And you can also know when the mind has non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Okay, is when you perform merits. Okay, every time you perform a merit, you are cleansing the mind of greed, hatred, and delusion. Okay? So next time when you perform the act of generosity, okay, you check the mental state, okay, whether it is as non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. If it has, then you are doing a meritorious act. Okay. So when your mind has discernment, you are able to see things clearly. Okay. You can see a non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, which leads to the purification of the mind, and also abandoning of unwholesome, and also developing of the wholesome. Okay. So you begin to see the three characteristics of unsatisfactoriness, impermanence, and non-self as well. And you can see this, it leads to what we call dispassion. Okay, dispassion, and once you have dispassion, you develop letting go. You're no longer attached to the body. Okay? And finally, if you're no longer attached to the body, it leads to liberation. Okay? And liberation means liberation from the cycles of birth and death, which is Nibbana. So it is very important for us to develop this wisdom in us, because ultimately, whatever we practice, dana, sila, bhavana, it leads us only to wisdom. Okay. So all these things, are discovered by the Buddha. Okay, the Buddha was able to see this on the night of his enlightenment. The Buddha developed this knowledge, which enabled him to read his past life. And during the second watch, the Buddha, with his knowledge, perceived beings disappearing from one state of existence to the next. Okay, he behold this, and how beings are born beautiful and ugly, okay, happy and miserable, and according to their karma. Right? So we have to contemplate on the law of karma, that you're the owner of your own karma, heir to your own karma, born of your own karma, related to your own karma, and abided, supported by your own karma. Whatever karma you do, whether good or bad, okay, you shall be the heir. Right? So for our rebirth, okay, in the Saleyaka Sutta, there's always causes and conditions, okay, for rebirth. Aspirations are made to have rebirth, at the time of death. Okay. However, one's karma must be able to support such aspiration. So one may aspire to no rebirth, but must be supported by practice and sufficient insight and wisdom. So you notice that when we come to this, the things that we welcome, long life, the status, happiness, okay, and beauty, and even the rebirth in the heaven realm, we rely a lot on causes and conditions, okay, on the law of karma. Okay? So it's important for us to avoid evil, do good, and eventually to purify the mind, okay, so that we can achieve what is welcome. Okay? Even if we don't attain enlightenment, at least we have a heavenly rebirth. Okay? So this is my sharing. Okay, this morning for your reflection, and may you grow in wisdom.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Brother Patsun, for this very useful and interesting and also down-to-earth Dhamma talk. Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, if you have any questions or comments, kindly put your thoughts on the chat, or you can even raise your hand if you want to ask a question. But then we will forward to Brother Buxton for his comment. Let me look and see if there's any questions. No, I think it takes a while for them to generate some questions here. Just to start off, Brother Buxton, I think in terms of the kind of merits that we are talking about, I think we can really categorize them in because if a person passes on, the only thing that they can take along is their merits and whatever they have done, good or bad. Yeah, this life. I think there are two types of merits that we can talk about. It's like worldly merits, which is a mundane merits, or supramundane or spiritual. But then it depends on a person's kind of practice and over their life, what he has done before. So how do we strike a balance between these? Because I think the first one may lead to a good rebirth, but the second one, spiritual merits, may even lead to nibbana. But I think it's not easy to do that. Maybe many, many lifetimes later. So as a lay Buddhist, what should we do to strike a balance between the two so that there's a continuity maybe?
No, merits are the same. There's no such thing as mundane merits or spiritual merits. Okay. We define merits as something that cleanses the mind.
Okay.
So cleanses the mind means that an action that is done with non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. That is defined as merits. Okay. So merits is only an intermediate thing that we practice, because merits creates condition for us to develop further.
Okay.
So sometimes merits is defined as something, an act that opens the door. Okay, it gives you the opportunity to do more good. Okay. So merits is not something to be accumulated. Okay. like your bank account, that the more merits you have, the better.
Yeah, sure.
Your merit that you have done today should lead you to better condition for you to develop yourself spiritually.
Okay.
More.
All right.
Okay. That means it's give you more opportunity to progress further in your spiritual life. Okay. So that's how do you define merits? It's not that you do certain merits, it leads you to let's say material results, okay, or certain merits leads you to spiritual result.
Sure.
Merits are the same, okay? They are categorized as things that gives you the opportunity to develop further in your practice.
Thanks for the.
So it's nothing material.
Okay.
More spiritual.
I thought there was a question earlier, but then there's a comment. One of the listeners just said that it's an excellent talk, and he asked if he can kind of watch it again. So yes, it's always on the YouTube or our Bob's website, so you can repeat and watch it again. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Let me see. Okay. Can you please advise how we can convince some new Buddhists after following strictly all what has been taught in this sutta for quite some time, and yet still not able to see tangible results of doing dana and other meritorious deeds he has performed? Sorry, it's a bit lengthy. You got it, Brother Buxton?
The first part is what?
Can you please advise how we can convince some new Buddhists after following strictly all what has been taught in this sutta, and yet still not able to see tangible results?
Oh, not able to see tangible results.
Yeah, maybe they want to get tangible results within this lifetime. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good question. Yes. Okay, sometimes we do merits, okay, and we don't see results. Okay.
Not immediate. Yeah.
Because we always look into the future for the results. Okay, but actually, when you perform merit, you are getting the results here and now. Okay, so one of the qualities of the Dhamma, okay, is apparent here and now. Tandi tiko. Okay. So, for example, when you do dana, okay, you want to say offer food to the monks. Okay, first you must know, okay, that this monk is coming, or to Babs, for example.
Yeah.
So Babs will issue an announcement that certain monks are coming to stay, and if you want to offer dana, you can come on this date, and so if the moment you hear the news, okay, and the intention arises, I want to do dana, okay, there's already a result already, okay, happiness is there.
Right.
Okay? The intention of doing dana is there. Okay, then once the intention is there, then you want to decide, what do I want to cook? Okay, then you decide what you want to cook. Then you got to go and buy. Okay, you got to go and buy whatever you need to cook.
Sure.
Okay? So I'm sure you're happy doing it, right?
I'm sure the person will be. Yeah,
so there's already happiness in you, that to buy something, to offer. Okay. Then you come back, okay. Then on that day you prepare the food, okay, and you prepare nicely, so happily preparing it, and you bring to the center, you offer the food, okay. And then when the monk eat the food, he feel happy, you're also happy,
Sure.
Because you do something that is is worthy, and the monk has gratitude towards you, and after that he gives you a blessing. Okay,
yeah,
then you are no sukam balang.
yeah, that's correct.
So before you do it, before the act of dana on that day itself, you already have developed, good intention, happiness during the dana, and after the dana, you reflect on it, something good today, you have this happiness also. So the happiness is already there. It is the result of your intention, okay, and the act of doing it. Okay?
Sure.
Of course, you don't think about future, okay.
Yeah.
But in future, let's say the next monk that come along, okay, because your mind is conditioned, okay, and it's habitual for you to offer, okay.
Yeah. Sure.
So that same happiness will come back to you. Okay? So the first dana you have done has opened the door for the next dana to happen again in future. Right?
Sure.
But if you're somebody, after listening to the announcement, and I never mind lah. Even if I don't go and offer, other people offer.
Yeah. Most people have that thought.
Okay.
Sure.
You prefer to let other people do the merits.
Understand. Yeah.
Okay. You don't get the happiness already.
Yes.
You're not going to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Thanks, sir.
Opportunity. Okay. So
Okay.
the merit is immediate. You already received that. But of course, there will be more to come. Because when you condition your mind in such a way, then you find that your mind, your heart become very open. Okay.
Absolutely.
You're willing to share. You're willing to share what you have with others. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Worthy.
Maybe one or two more questions. Let me just have a quick look and see. Just now was that one. Why are so many of our Buddhists who have embraced Buddhism for many years still fail to understand the teachings of our Buddha? They believe in feng shui for good life, wearing amulets for protection, etc., etc.
Okay, there's this quality of Dhamma pacatang veditabo vinuhiti.
Yeah.
Means the Dhamma can only be comprehended individually by the wise.
By the wise, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so you need a certain level of wisdom.
That's correct.
Okay, when you reflect on it, okay, you need a certain level of wisdom. Okay? I no time to talk about wisdom, but those who have attended the meditation, I mentioned a lot. Something in the last session we talk about wisdom. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, wisdom is something which is very different from intelligence.
Yeah, that's correct.
People have intelligence, but they don't have wisdom. Yeah. So to understand the Dhamma, you need wisdom, not intelligence.
Yes, that's right.
Intelligence, you can study Buddhism course, go to the university and get a PhD in Buddhism.
Yes,
and you're very good in the suttas, you can explain the sutta, but if you don't practice, it's of no use. It's like now the Ajahn say, you put the ladle in the soup and you don't drink the soup,
Very true, very true.
The taste of the Dhamma. So it's important for us to develop this wisdom in us. Okay? This wisdom is developed through practice. Okay? If you don't try, you don't get it. So a lot of people take the Dhamma as very academic. Okay?
Yeah, that's correct.
They say, oh, it's sensible. Okay, what the Buddha said is sensible, but then they don't practice it. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It comes back to the square one. Okay?
Yeah.
They have eager faith. Okay, they know that to be a Buddhist is good. Have faith in the Buddha, but they don't know what the Buddha teach. They don't practice what the Buddha. So they don't have inspired faith. Okay? They don't have inspired faith. They don't have confident faith. They're not confident of the teaching. That's why if you're not confident of teaching, you won't follow. After some time, you find that it's just an ordinary knowledge. Okay.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, absolutely. I think knowledge is just something. If you don't really put it in practice, wisdom and insight will not arise. And so it's really just like you said, intelligence or nothing more than that. Yeah. Wisdom would definitely very much deeper. It's about understanding a lot more things. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. There may be one or two more questions. I think. Sorry. Let me have a quick look at that. Okay. Okay. Does positive karma means merits because there is positive and negative karma? Repeat. Does positive karma means merits because there is positive and also negative karma?
Okay. Okay, karma, the word karma means action. Okay, action. Okay. Action done with thoughts, words, or deeds.
Yeah.
So if you perform merits, okay, then of course you create, it's a good action, it's a positive action. If you commit, say break the precept, then it's negative.
Negative.
Okay, negative karma. It's unwholesome action. Okay. So there is positive and negative actions. Okay. So the results will follow accordingly. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that's correct.
So the vipaka of that karma will be positive if it's a positive karma. If it's negative, the vipaka will be negative if it's a negative karma.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. Thanks. Yeah. Let me see. I think there's still some other questions. Okay. In terms of developing wisdom, do we need to develop wisdom through all three ways: hearing, thinking, and meditation? Some people just hear and think. Can they develop wisdom? Would they be able to develop wisdom? So
very good question.
Hear, think, and meditate. Three things. Yeah.
Yes, it's a very good question. Okay, in terms of if you go systematically, you must hear first. Okay.
Hear.
Or listen. Okay. Listen. Hearing, sometimes you hear sound only.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Listening is a better word.
Sure.
You listen to the Dhamma because you need to, before you practice, you know, you need to have the knowledge. And this knowledge should have come from listening, okay, or reading.
Yes.
Okay. So that you practice correctly. Now, after hearing or listening, you must contemplate on it. Okay. To contemplate, you think Okay, if something that you think is not sensible, then you don't accept or you don't practice. The Buddha never say that you have everything that is mentioned in the sutta. Okay?
Yeah.
So you have to use your own thinking mind, rationalize it, to that is proper, is appropriate, then only you practice it. And to practice it, okay, you meditation is one of them, okay, but in the no path, you practice sila, dana, sila, bhavana. Dana, sila, bhavana. Bhavana leads to wisdom.
Yeah.
Of course, you need wisdom to practice generosity also. Otherwise, you become a kind-hearted fool. Okay.
Yeah, very true, very true.
You need wisdom to practice virtue also. Okay.
Yes.
So they go hand in hand. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
To complement your knowledge. Okay? And now meditation is actually not thinking. Okay? When you practice meditation, you practice the quality of awareness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah. Through mindfulness.
Yeah, sure.
So mindfulness is very important because even in hearing, you need mindfulness. So it doesn't mean that when you sit down and meditate, you only practice mindfulness during that time. Okay? Yeah. Even just now when you were listening to the Dhamma, okay, for the last hour, you need mindfulness. Okay? You need to be there listening to what is said. Only then you will remember. Okay? Otherwise, if just now when the talk was on, you were listening to some music, then there's no mindfulness. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
So you can't remember what has been said. Then you'll be looking for the recording.
Very true. It comes in here, goes on the other side.
Mindfulness. Okay. Thinking also you need mindfulness. Okay. You need to know, what you have heard immediately. You process. Your mind will process, and if you can process it well, then you can remember it better. So remembering is very important. So when you go to meditation, you develop the awareness of seeing things as they really happen. Really okay, because in meditation you watch the body, you watch all these things happening at that very moment. Okay, and that will lead you to a state of composure. Okay, you will become composed, and you can see things better.
Yeah.
You see, in normal life, we tend to multitask. We want to do this at the same time, do another thing. So that we think we can achieve. Okay, and at the end of the day, you find that the mental state is changing from one to another very fast.
Yeah, very quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah. But during the meditation, formal sitting, you find that your mind becomes very clear because you're on one single object.
Yes, very still.
And you develop more and more awareness.
Sure.
So the more awareness you have, the less thinking you have. Okay. So you progress from listening, thinking to observing during meditation, observing what is happening. So the more you observe, the more you will understand how your mind and body behave.
Yes, okay? Yes. And then
so when the body is painful, the mind will react. So these are the things you develop. You go back and forth. Okay, after meditation, you still have to go back to listening to Dhamma.
Yes.
Right, to read.
Start from the beginning to sure. Okay.
Practice. So you have to go back and forth.
Okay.
Meditation alone, if you don't have the right view of meditation, then you may do it wrongly. Okay, and you still have to go back to listening to the Dhamma again. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Yamper.